Today is a very, very momentous day for me personally. I'm a student and an alumni of Modern School, Barakhamba Road, and today we are celebrating 100 years of Modern School. In fact, it's the concluding day of the year, and under normal circumstances, Modern School itself and the alumni had huge occasions planned for the whole year as a part of the celebration. Hi, Rinku. Good to see you. Welcome aboard, my dear. We had a lot of plans, but because of the pandemic, unfortunately, everything got washed out. जो कुछ हो रहा है छोटे स्केल पे हो रहा है virtually हो रहा है and today there was a live ceremony that was happening that has actually it is still going on. I was on air with the NewsX television with NewsX channel, being a part of the session which is happening at Modern School just now, but because I had my lovely session happening with my special guest for today, I had to excuse myself and come out and take this evening forward. Hi, Monica, Virmani. Hi, good to see you. Rinku, good to see you, my dear. I'm glad you've been able to take out time and join in. So, rest of the friends, come on board and say hi to me. And I'm going to be kicking off in a couple of seconds. So I was talking about Modern School. Modern School got launched way back in 1920, and it was pre independence era. And the school founder, Lala Raghubir Singh, had this fantabulous vision of being able to create education for the modern India that he foresee would be coming soon, and created an institution starting from his own father's mansion in Daryaganj. And for almost about till 1933, the school ran in those premises of Daryaganj till Lala Raghubir Singh was able to get this space in the heart of city in Delhi, 25 acres of land, which he built with Sir Sova Singh Ji, who was aligned with the Britishers and a part of being, of the team who constructed the Luton's Delhi. And you get to see the magnificent red brick modern school building, which is iconic in the heart of the city. And we have celebrations going on there presently just now. And the school has been lit up for almost a week till the 25th. And of course, a huge momentous occasion for all of us. Hi, Salman. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you, my dear. Hi, Shailesh. Thank you for joining in. Virender ji, namaskar. Thank you very much. You are very kind and always very supportive. Salman, thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you're feeling better. So I'm going to start. People can keep joining in, friends. Today I have a very special guest, my Sharp Conversation episode 12. And I have to start by saying that in your professional career, in your life, you come across many people, and some people leave a mark on you for reasons best known to you. So my guest is one of those personality who left a mark on me. I didn't know her for many, many years. Of course, she'd been in the profession, but I got to meet her during my association with Fashion TV when I was with the brand. And that's when I really got to meet and interact with my guest for the evening today. I have always held her with immense warmth and admiration, not only because she's an exceptional professional, but because she's also someone who's been equally congenial. She's been so forthcoming and well-meaning always that I've always held her with a lot of love and respect. She's multidimensional. In fact, to introduce her will not be very easy, but I will be trying by giving a brief introduction of her. And but of course, to briefly tell you that she is the ace fashion choreographer of India. She's a film production professional and an events director par excellence. She's someone who's hugely respected in the industry. She's much admired. She's very dignified and very charming herself. And she's none other than Rashmi Virmani. So I'm going to bring her on air now, friends, and then we will take the session forward. Hi, Rashmi. How are you, my dear? How are you?
Good. So good to be on this platform with you, Dipali. I was so looking forward to chatting up with you, actually, who's, I think, over the years become more like a friend and also someone who's been a part of the profession. So it's fantastic.
Yes, I was looking forward to it myself because people have always seen Rashmi, that fantabulous professional, but there is so much more to Rashmi Virmani other than just being a professional. And the endeavor is to get to know a lot about you, from you, about your life, about your successes, about your challenges, and stories that will inspire my audience. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rashmi,
So I
before
know
we
what I know.
start,
Shoot.
yes, before I embark, I'm going to just give a brief introduction about you to people. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes. Friends, Rashmi is somebody who's been enormously successful in her career for more than 3 decades as a fashion choreographer, a film production, and an events professional, like I already said, and with first-hand knowledge of audio, video, media, and events. Rashmi is a name to reckon with in the industry. And as a a choreographer and a fashion show director, her career has been spanning for more than 3 decades, and she has worked with some of the frontline designers of the country, to name a few quickly, whether it is Ritu Berry, Rohit Bal, JJ Valaya, Suneet Parma, Nita Lula, Ibrahim and Thakur, Vikram Fadnavis, Rocky S, Meera Muzaffar Ali, Shannon Peacock, Wendell Roddicks, Jasper Conran, Betty Jackson, Miguel Carbon. So they already there are some of them who are international designers as well, friends. And I think Rashmi would have, I think choreographed umpteen fashion shows, which is impossible to really list down. But just to let you all know a few of them, she is, besides doing fashion shows for brands and for fashion designers, she has been doing umpteen number of fashion shows for various fashion weeks, like the India Fashion Week, Amazon India Fashion Week, Lakme Fashion Week, Delhi Times Fashion Week, Bombay Times Fashion Week, Pune Times Fashion Week, Jabong Online Fashion Week. Oh my God, the list goes on. Rashmi, very difficult to encapsulate all that you have done, my dear. Then, of
That's all
course,
I do.
and then to your credit also, the brands that you have worked with, whether it is Tony and Guy, Body Shop, Nike, Timex, Reliance Trends, Enamor, Benetton, Sisley, Gigi Makeup, Triumph, Clark Shoes, Oriflame, Puma. My God. Some, people, if you need to know more about Rashmi and the brands that she's worked with, you need to go onto her website. Having said that, of course, quickly also to say that she, repeated the magic of circuit fashion shows for organizations like ICICI in Delhi and Bangalore, the ITI, the ITE, Bride and Groom's Fashion Show, Timex shows across the country, the Lotto, India launch, etc. She has been, ideating and directing shows also for the government of India under the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Handicraft, Ministry of Textiles, and Railways. She has, of course, also creatively designed and curated so many events for some of the prestigious brands like Airtel, HDFC, Hindalco, Swarovski, Johnson& and Johnson, Voltas, Sita, Stardust Cine Awards, Bank, Siemens, etc., etc. And then, of course, Rashmi also went on to become a film producer, TV and film producer with her erstwhile husband, Sanjay Virmani, and started the first show on ZTV, which made a lot of flutter, the fashion show called Khubsurat, And then, of course, she went on with her husband to produce many other shows like that, whether it was the Maximum Style on Zoom, whether it was Style Check for MTV, Ada for Sahara, Mansi for Sony TV, Good Home Show for Star TV, and many more such programs. So Rashmi is, of course, considered a very, very coveted professional, and with her tremendous creativity and ability to envision various kinds of shows and events, she is very well looked up to as a professional. So, Rashmi, there will be a lot more that you will have to contribute. I'm going to straight away dive into asking you questions unless you have something to say as an opening remark. I'm also going to quickly welcome. There are some people who are joining us. Manish said, thank you. Looking forward to Rashmi Virmani. He says, such a perfectionist and a professional multitasker and dedicated to her work. That's Rashmi Virmani. Then I have Minakshi, Chitra Sen, Rashmi Vaidalingam, whole lot of people joining in. Yes, my dear. So any opening remark? Otherwise, we go on with our questions.
You've done your research so well, Dipali. What do I say? You laid it all there. In fact, even I was like, oh my God, yeah, ye bhi kiya tha, ye bhi kiya tha. So, yeah, I think that's all I've done, really.
I have a lot of my guests saying that to me कि दीपाली तुम कितना अच्छा research करती हो कि हमें sometimes ध्यान पे लाना पड़ता है कि actually we've done so much and we've come such a
That's true. That's well done.
Yeah, so I want to start by asking you about your early years, about Rashmi Virmani's early formative years, and how did she get into becoming a fashion journalist with Bennett Coleman and Company, and from there moving on to becoming a fashion choreographer. Now, what I would be keen to know is that way back then, becoming a fashion choreographer or a director was something that was not very common. So, did you have to face any sort of opposition from your parents, or were they supportive? How did you take the plunge and made a go at it? So, over to you.
So, Dipali, my name actually before marriage was Rashmi Seth. So I come from this very typical Punjabi business family where girls have to get married. The moment they're out of college, they get married. My father was, of course, very, very, he was not very orthodox, but he was very conservative in the sense that, he thought that, okay, I was the sister of two brothers. So he said, acha bhai, ye to college karegi. I was from Carmel, then from JMC. Note, all girls school, all girl college. Yes. So he thought the moment she'll pass out, now I'm going to get her married. But in the house, the guy who was really broad-minded was my grandfather.
Oh, really?
So when he realized that, it was my nanny and my grandfather actually. And when he realized that she really wants to work, he's the one who told my dad, give her some time. I think she wants to do something. And Papa could not refuse Bauji. So he said, okay, so take your time. What do you want to do? So I was like, I want to get into fashion journalism. And he wasn't very sure what it was. And before that, in the final passing out, final year of JMC, JMC has we all have festivals, college festivals, and we have rendezvous in JMC. Yeah. So in JMC, Intershop, which was at that time by Vijay Mehta and Manju Mehta, it was, I think, the most hippest brand going around that time. We had designers like Sunit Verma who were designing for FUs and Intershop. So they were sponsoring a fashion show in JMC, and it was a choreography show. So it was a contest. And I happened to win that contest. So the main, the VP marketing, VM was not there. Vijay Mehta was not there for this particular thing. But the VM marketing was there. And he said, you know what? We are launching FUs all over the country. Do you want to do these shows your final year college? I was like, I'd love to do it. Believe you me, I had no idea. So the only thing I knew was because, from JMC, we all used to run to Padmini Lula's fashion shows. She was the name who was doing fashion shows at that time. Uske backstage pe hum log kaam karte the. So I knew models, backstage, all of that. So I knew the right names to drop, the right words to drop. So I said, yeah, why not? I think I can do it. He's like, you know what? I think you really can do it. And he fixed up my meeting with Vijay Mehta. Vijay Mehta met me explain the concept, what he wants to do. There were shows in Bombay, Delhi, Simla, Punjab. It was a circuit. So the first show I did was a circuit. And honestly speaking, he had so much of, he believed in me so much. And after we did the first job, he was like, let me introduce you to IMA. Let me introduce you to Woolmark. Let me introduce you to APC. He's the guy actually who introduced me to all these organizations. I didn't know what APC was. I didn't know what Woolmark was. There was just no looking back after that. It was just one show after another. And before I knew, I was just like enjoying myself and I was deep into it. This was, just a little before I was also doing fashion journalism. I joined Sun magazine. And at the same time, this was all happening very similar, at the same time, because fashion shows, what happens is that between one show and another show, there could be a 5-day gap or a 6-day gap or a 10-day gap. And I was always wanting to work and I was tasting the blood of fashion. It was very addictive. So in Sun, I joined, which is Deshbandhu Group, and I was the fashion journalist. Plus, I told them to give me the marketing too because I was very keen in marketing. And I left Sun after 1 year and I moved from Sun to the next door, which was Times of India. And I still remember the HR manager was Mr. Gandhi. And I walked in and I said, I've just left Sun and I think I'd like to join Times of India because I know how to come and go from here. This is right next door. He's like, join from Monday. Fill in these formalities. Vinita Jain is looking for a group for Saturday Times. We are launching a color tabloid. I was like, fantastic. So there I was in the core team of Saturday Times and Ravi Bhatnagar was my boss. And I was like, Ravi, please give me marketing too. And he was like, of course, we'll give you marketing too. So I always kept the marketing angle. It always interests me and I kept it going till I had to leave Times of India because I realized my shows were just becoming very hectic and I didn't feel right to bunk, office and whatever I want to do it properly. And they all were hearing about what I was doing and they used it to their advantage for some time. And then after some time, Ravi also said that, no, ab humko pata hai, the ramp model management has started and the ramp has started. So I was like, yes, now let me go. So with after learning so much from the Times Group, because it's such an institution, it teaches you so much. And then I moved on to opening my own company, The Ramp. And like I said, by the time I was completely between Manju Mehta and Vijay Mehta, pushing me and believing in me. And then, Manju Mehta was launching Glitterati. And so here I was doing the shows of Glitterati. And I was like, are you sure I can do Glitterati? It has the top designers. And, she was like, yes, absolutely. We're doing Glitterati. We're launching it in Delhi too. And you're doing the show. So there I was in the Oberoi rehearsing and Dipali uske baad was one after another just kept happening and I suddenly realized that this is what it was. This is what I wanted to do. You're on mute, Dipali. I can't hear you.
Yeah. I've been going on mute because I find sometimes a lot of disturbance starts happening in the background. So I wanted to ask you that I'm going to take you back that when you started out, there were also a lot of new, crop of designers who had come up, or they were coming up, whether it was Ritu Berry, whether it was Rohit Bal, Rohit Khosla, Madhu Jain, whole lot of them who were coming up around the same time. Yeah. Now tell me, where did your learnings come from? Did you people, connected up together? Did you people handhold each other? When was it that you people started to, create the necessary camaraderie between all of you and create the magic on the ramp? Because all of you were just starting out then.
That's true. In fact, one of the most spectacular shows I did was with Rohit Khosla. And this was actually a New Year's Eve show at the Taj Chandigarh. And Guda was also part of it. Beena Ramani was a very new, at that time, Beena was just identifying herself and her personality. She'd just come back from abroad. And, she was actually giving birth to the entire horse cast village, what it is today. And so Beena was one of the designers. So like this, we had a couple of designers and we were doing the show in Taj. And believe you me, there is so much I learned from Rohit Khosla. And the first thing I learned from him was, whenever I do a show, it's not about me. It's about the designer. So, and he would just sit there and he would just say, Rashmi, the last showstopper would be wearing tak, 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 tak. He would just go sketch. and he said, "This is going to be my Amanda." He had this model who his friend, she was a foreigner, but he was like, "This is Amanda who's going to walk, and that's how she's going to walk." And I was like, "Oh, wow." So that's the full stop, exclamation, everything to a show, the showstopper. And that didn't mean a celebrity. That meant a beautiful garment which comes cascading, which is the mother of all garment. And how you have to build up this garment, and you have to communicate everything that the show has said in that one ramp. You have to stitch it up. So celebrities and all that started much later, but that was more fun. So it was really Costa who was kind enough to very, very openly educate you, tell you. And then of course we started learning how to make cue sheets, and by the time we were not tagging clothes, it was like they were just hanging in the run order. We started getting professional gradually. Then, of course, I remember the next show was for Rohit Bal at the German embassy. These are really the beginning shows of my career. And then, Hyatt had just opened up, and they'd opened up their restaurant, and there was a Reena Dhaka show there. Then there were shows for Beena Ramani. So really, we were all like getting there together, learning, exploring, making mistakes, covering up for each other. And, then, of course, Madhu was like an institution in weaves. Madhu Jain. So it was, learning so much from her. These are some very, very senior people. Then, of course, the next learning came was when I started doing Khoobsurat. Because the first person I went to when I was doing Khoobsurat, I don't know if even he remembers, was Tarun Tehliani. And he called me over to Bombay, and he said, "Are you really doing, in that voice of his, this is really going to be a fashion show?" So I was like, yeah, we're trying to do this. And so he said, "Come over and meet me." He was the one who again shared a lot of other names and, serious people in the fashion industry, and, asked me to, meet all of them to understand that what Indian fashion was all about. So these were the people who really helped me, in the beginning. And of course, if you're a keen learner, then you learn and then you move on. And not that we didn't have models slipping, not that we didn't have paint wet, not that we didn't have sudden downpour of rains before the show. I mean, I've seen it all. I've just seen it all.
Rashmi, I was just coming to that, public sees the glamour and the razzmatazz of it all on the stage. But what really goes behind the scenes is I have seen you work very closely, because you've done so many shows with me in my FTV venues. We've done the Triumph Lingerie shows. We've done the Clark's launch. And
we did the first show for FBA when we opened it in Delhi, and that was the Gas and Peroni.
Yes. So coming to that, absolutely. And then the signature fashion shows in a circuit between the venues. I mean, we done a lot of work together, and I've seen you in action, and I've seen exactly how beautifully and meticulously you work. You are so structured. You take things forward so beautifully. In fact, whenever we had shows with you, my staff never had any problem, because the back end was so well controlled. The green rooms, which are supposed to be otherwise mad and chaotic, were always very calm, proper. Everything was in order. So Rashmi's way of functioning really was always very, very impressive. Talk about the scenes which go on behind the razzmatazz and the glamour of it all that we get to see from the outside.
Dipali, you've pointed out very beautifully, because I think the nucleus of a fashion show is the green room. And we start constructing the show not really when you see the rehearsal on the stage, but when we actually are doing the lineup. When you line up your entire show clothes with the models, that's when I actually construct the show with the designer. I know exactly at what music cue which model is going to come, and then when are the bodies going to be built up? Are they going to be bodies, or we don't want bodies? Everything is really done in the green room. So for me, green room became very important, and I realized I may be just the only choreographer who has her own backstage. So for a lot of years, I set up a whole office. For me, it wasn't just Rashmi as a choreographer, it was a show production agency. So I had my graphic guys who were doing my stage designs, and I went on AutoCAD. I'm sure I was the first one who understood how are you going to rig the lights. I mean, even if I was working with, prima donnas and, authorities of lighting like Viraf and Lloyd, I would still want to understand from them that how are you rigging the lights. And so many times they would say, why are you bothered? Just tell me the light design you want. I was like, no, I need to understand. If I don't understand the lighting, how it's coming and what all do I have in my hand, how can I tell you what to do? So then, once they understand your way of working and operating, then every light designer gets used to a choreographer's way of working. So for me, technically, having my show sound was very important. So, and that really came not just on the ramp, it started from my green room. How big is my green room? Where are the entry exits? Where are the boys? Where are the girls? I'm not saying that I haven't done shows in malls where I compromised on my green rooms because I couldn't do a damn. But otherwise, as much as I could, I've tried to lay my entire show very beautifully in the green room. And, and for me, what is also very, very important is that your entire staff in the green room should be in sync, and they should know that when a model is screaming or shouting, she's not screaming and shouting at you. She's screaming and shouting on her change time. She knows when she has to enter. So I've had a lot of, I used to take a lot of kids from Pearl, from NIFT, who wanted to work with Rashmi Virmani or Ramp Asia. But when they joined us, they didn't realize, they were crying after the show saying, oh, such and such model was so rude. She abused me. She's this, she's that. She pushed me. I'm like, please, this happens. She's stressed because she's going to go right there, put on her smile. So she needs to be there at least 30 seconds before.
Correct.
So I think in the process, you trained a whole, I'm not saying that I trained the whole industry, but you start to train a small part of the industry. And whether it's your graphic guys, whether it's your light designers, I worked with a lot of new guys also, because there were a lot of times when the clients didn't have budgets and they say, light designer kya hota hai? Stylist kya hota hai? So what do you do? So, so obviously you take a cheaper guy and say, okay, I'll pay for this guy. But I need to have someone who picks on the faders and knows what is 40% light, 30% lights, knows the light gradations and knows how to light up my stage and how to do it in steps the way we do it. So similarly, styling and all of that. So you were kind of giving birth to another industry, which was so good, which is required. And I'm sure I was not the only one doing it. There were a lot of people in Bombay doing it, a lot of people in Chennai doing it. I just happened to be right in Delhi, which was really, I still think it's a fashion capital of India.
Yes. And Rashmi, also I feel that besides only putting the show together, there is a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, because you also have to ensure that, the focus remains on the product, which could be the apparels or it could be the accessories, amidst those beautiful models that you put up on stage, because it's with that the B2B angle would be taken care of for the designer, and his vision would come to reality with business coming in through the buyers and also through the clients who would be sitting there thinking that, yes, that's the dress that I need for my wardrobe, and which is what the designer would want at the end of the day. So that again was a huge responsibility. So how were you always conceptualizing and, putting your vision together to ensure that amidst all the the elements that you are putting together to make your shows really, really aesthetically attractive, that you didn't really take away the focus from the garments and what was being projected through the show?
Dipali, one of the most complicated shows I did was for Woolmark. And what happened was, in Woolmark, you would have, nobody would understand that something called cool wool. That wool can also be cool. And we were trying to, Woolmark was, trying to establish this in India where, for us, sardiyon mein wool or garmiyon mein cotton, or, so they were trying to say that, wool is such a beautiful blended right. There's something known as cool wool. So showing the difference between one category to another category in Woolmark, where my audience was nothing but, all the guys who have to order per shawl, per fabric, all of that, was really a learning experience for me. And believe you me, for this, I would go myself to Ludhiana and of course with the Woolmark team, and would pick up sweaters and shawls and in different categories, and which of course exposed me to another industry altogether. But that was one of the most tricky trade shows which we did. And of course, the shows were, there were 6 shows and they used to happen on 3 days. And then there was a whole exhibition where all these merchandisers, all these brands it was like a mini fashion week, really. But it was only for wool, which is what really, you learn from shows like this. Similarly, APC again taught me. I mean, I never understood the rag trade the way I understood it in APC, because I was like, "Arey yaar, ye to simple dress hai." But then I understood it's not a simple dress. That design, that print is what he's going to sell. And or that particular silhouette is what they're going to sell. APC is not so much about silhouettes, they're more about prints. And that's what exporters are all about in India. So, you understood that from there. And I'm happy that I did all of this at a very early stage in my career. And till, of course, when you came to the fashion weeks and, I mean, of course, I don't want to leave out OCMs and Big Jams and all of that I did and learned, in their dealer meets, J. Hampstead, all of this, Burlington, the introductory show there. So we learned in the process that a show is not just entertainment, it has to convert into money. So you understand that your choreography and the way you display the fabric and your lighting, they all have to be in sync so that it's tempting, like food is tempting. That's the way the product has to be tempting, whether it's jewelry, whether it is, or whether it was the art carrot shows, which I did all over London and Manchester, all of that, where there was an exhibition. And, we have to sell the jewelry right after the show. So you better do a good job. There's somebody who's putting in the money and flying in the entire team. So you understood the business aspect of it, which really told you that this is, like I said in the beginning, this is not your platform. This is a platform of the product. The moment you understand that, it's hunky-dory. And here I must mention Pearl Academy. I have to mention this institute. I mean, I've done shows for NIFT, fantastic. It's a great institution. I launched JD in India, in Delhi, sorry, and then I launched them in Bangalore. Then I've been associated with a lot of fashion institutes, but Pearl was again a teacher, because I'd never done a show where the number of scenes was 60. I still remember when they called me, I was like, how many scenes? 60. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Next year again, they would call me, Pearl show, Rashmi, we want you on board. I was like, how many scenes? 65. I'm not interested. Why I was not interested initially was, and I kept refusing, was because I thought, how am I going to demarcate between one collection to another collection? Fatigue is going to get in. This is a job of 2 to 3 choreographers, not one choreographer, is what I thought. Eventually, there's a gentleman called Prasanna and Ambika from Pearl. They were so insistent, and they're fantastic. I mean, they've been with the Institute forever, and they're total professionals, and they know what they want and what they're doing. So then Prasanna would call me again the next year, and this time I said, Prasanna, how do you do it? So then he explained to me, this is how maybe we can give it a shot, do it once. He and Ambika got me into the Pearl shows. I did it once, and then I realized, oh my God, this is too long. We need to chop the shows. Then I advised them, let's chop the show. So the one big Pearl show then became 2 shows, then became 3 shows, then became 4 shows. Then we started doing it 2 days. So I guess I just had to enter in there and, you just give a professional, perspective of the whole thing, and it becomes better. And then in the process, I learned a lot from Pearl, because I learned so much from that energy of those students. It's a real go-to place if you are interested in. They don't pay me for the publicity, but I've worked with those kids, and I worked with their, with their teachers and how possessive they are. That's another fantastic show I did. Year after year after year, I did them. Again, you're on mute.
Because of the sound that started to come and disturb while you were talking.
Right.
Okay. So now, you launched the RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the ramp created again, it was so well established and so aspirational, and it became an agency where everybody just wanted to be a part of it, to become a model, whether to walk on the ramp, for catwalk or for print. And then you also had many proteges who became very popular models. Some of them also moved into the Hindi film industry. Just to quickly name a few, I think Sushmita Sen, Rahul Dev, Mukul Dev, Himanshu Malik, Neha Dhupia, Udita Goswami, Mehar Bhasin, etc., etc. So tell me about when you started out with the RAM. What was your larger objective, and what made you, get into that zone of starting an agency like that?
So when Dipali, I was doing the fashion shows, the agency which was really there was Kitty Hazuria. And
Yes.
that was one agency, and somehow sometimes when you wanted more models, and I I'll be honest, I do have an eye for talent. There's no doubt about it. Like, for example, I met Aparna Kumar in Sylvie's salon, and I was like, you should become a model. She's like, please, I'm a Jain background and Banya background. My mother will never agree. And her mother was looking at me like she's going to kill me. Auntie was like, what are you saying to my daughter? I'm like, you've got a fantastic face, so you must get into modeling. So Appu was gotten in. I remember when Sush walked in, and I was doing a show for Air Force, and they said, you have to use all our bachas. And her father was, of course, in the Air Force. So here walked in this beautiful girl with lovely hair, wearing a white chicken suit, all silver jewelry, and saying, "Hey, I want to be a model." And I was like, "You have it in you." So I did train her, and she did a lot of her initial shows, and a lot of her facing her camera with me. Similarly, when somebody called me from DSOI saying that, I have my niece who's taking part in Miss India, can you train her? Her name is Priyanka Chopra. So I was like, please bring her on, because DSOI was a client. I couldn't say no. So I was like, please, aap leke aa jao. So there walked in this girl, beautiful, and she said, I want to take part in Miss India, and, can you train me, because I'm very scared, I'm very nervous. One look at her, and believe you me, I told her, I said, you know what, you won't only be successful, I think you might just win it. She said, why do you say that? How do you say that? I said, this is because Pradeep Goha, he was heading
Yes.
the Miss India pageant at that time for Vineet. I said, because Pradeep Goha and the Times Group want their Miss India to enter the film industry, and you are it. You are the face for the film industry. You have to get into films. So she was like, no, films I don't want to do, and I've heard this, I've heard that. So then, I trained her, and whatever. And of course, eventually she was trained by another choreographer when she went for the pageant, but in Delhi, she was again trained by me. And we did a lot of shows together. So there is no doubt, like Rajneesh Duggal. I was at a family wedding ceremony, and the fairas are happening, and I see this boy, and I'm staring at this boy, and I'm staring at this boy, and then I'm like, this guy has to be on the ramp, and who is he? And then I realize he's my Bhabhi's sister's son. And I'm like, I go to her and I'm like, Rani Bhabhi, introduce me to this guy. And right there in the wedding, I told him, I said, get into films. And I told him, get into modeling. And he was the one who said that I might be interested. And gradually he became interested in films. I never actually thought Rajneesh would get into films. I thought he was such a model material. He did very well, and I understand that that's a normal step to take, and he's doing well for himself. He's a very balanced guy. He's in no hurry. He knows what he wants to do. But that's how he was. Now, Priyanshu Chatterjee was my PT teacher's son. And Mrs. Madhuri called me and she said, Rashmi, tum fashion shows karti ho, aur mere bete ko chance do. I was like, aap bhejiye isko. One look when he walked in, I was like, Priyanshu, Woolmark show, you're doing it with me. Just walk up and down. So, and I'm sure I didn't want to be rude, but I was also one of the choreographers who would tell you on your face that why do you want to get into modeling? Nahi milegi chance, you're short. Because I just thought that when you're a professional, you have to be honest to people. You can have, you should not promise wrong. And you could be wrong at times. For example, Gracie Singh. I mean, she went and did that film with Ajay Devgan, and I would always tell Gracie that, are you sure you want to be a model? Because she had a lot happening on her face. But look at the determination. She was determined. And, so modeling, she couldn't do much, but there she went into film. So I guess so many people I must have guided, some maybe right, some, they are very, very persuasive. They prove you wrong, which is fantastic too.
So when, Rashmi, you are normally, when you're judging for various pageants and looking for models for fashion weeks, etc., what are those key things that you really look at? Because I do appreciate the fact that you're very candid about also being able to tell somebody that, you perhaps don't fit the bill and maybe you should move on, which is so important because how many people really come out and tell you and give you the correct picture? I have seen you doing that. So, but what
Right.
are those few things quickly to know that when you are a jury and when you are selecting your models, what are those things that you look at?
Okay, so when I'm auditioning for a fashion week, or even when I'm auditioning for any show, the first thing I look at is the height. Because, I have seen, besides Malaika Arora Khan, I don't think in my whole career I have seen models who are not very tall, and they make it on the ramp. And that also, I think she was the right place at the right time, so she got that opportunity. But I think it's very important that you're tall. I think it's extremely important that you have the right bone structure, because that's extremely imperative. And also the attitude and the walk. I can work on everything. I mean, to a great extent, I can work on your walk. I can work on your attitude. Height ka kya karoge aap? And the
Correct.
bone structure. I'm not saying that we all need anorexic models. Indian fashion industry that way. We do like thin models, but we also work with UK 8 and we also work with UK 10. We don't just work with UK 4 and 6, and let's not even go beyond that, below that. So, but um, when they walk the ramp, you can just see, oh my God, this one has it, or I can polish this one. So whether I was auditioning for Lakme, or I was auditioning for Pune or Bombay Times or Delhi. This is really what I look at. You kind of smell it, Dipali. You can smell that. Okay, this one is going to go a long way. So
I
many
guess.
times, the team will say, "नहीं, ma'am, इसमें कोई जान नहीं है, ये नहीं कर पाए." I'm like, no, yeah, Abhi, give us some time. And I'm happy, that I always feel that, you're just a medium. A lot of people say, oh, ma'am, Abhi, oh, success to you. All of that. I was like, no, no, no. You work hard yourself. I was just there. I just showed you the way. You did everything yourself. So I don't feel inhibited or overwhelmed, rather. Overwhelmed that, I've helped this one, I've helped that one. So she worked hard herself. Priyanka had it in hers. I think Rajneesh is a hardworking guy. He is good looking. Everybody has it in them, really. So nobody makes nobody. You just show them the way, really.
I would love to watch you, direct a show with real women and men with plus sizes rather than just the ones who fit into the picture perfectly. It would be great to see Rashmi coming up with something exquisite for real people with plus size, as plus size models. So park that thought. Maybe you should do that someday. Yeah.
But Ali, here I must tell you, I was doing a show called Mrs. India Worldwide, and I was doing this show in Vietnam. And I was the show director, and I was also the trainer. I must say this because this really left a mark. And
Right.
I was taking a Viva, and I was it was, I think, at about 7:30 in the evening, and it was the third day of us being in Vietnam, and the contest was only about 7 days away. And there was a Viva I was doing, and I was telling everybody, okay, now you speak, and I was telling them the distance from the mic, etc. You know how it is. And I
Yeah.
was telling them to speak their heart out. I said, whatever you say on the mic, it has to be your heart. It has to come from you. Don't pick up stitched sentences from here and there, from the internet and all of that.
Right.
And the girl got up, and so my question was, why did you take part in this pageant? So that was just the warming up I was doing after telling them how to talk. So she got up and she said, to prove you wrong, Rashmi Virmani. I was
Ah,
taken aback. I was like, what? I know you? She's like, yeah. I was auditioning about 4 years back or 3 years back, and you were in Calcutta doing a show for NIFT, and you wanted some new models, and we were all in a line, and you kept saying in, out, in, out. She's like, and in one go, she said, you said out, and I couldn't be in that room for a minute more. And I was like, that's because I asked her first thing. I said, what's your height? She said 5'4.5". I said, that's why you're in Mrs. India Worldwide and you were not in that show. And I said, and
correct.
I respect the fact that you still it didn't deter you. You got married, you wanted to still fulfill your dream. And she said, I'm here only because we heard that you are directing the show. and I wanted to show you that I can walk. I was like, okay, drop the engines, let's have fun here now, because I was doing my part. I couldn't have you walk with models who are 5'8", 5'9". You wouldn't have looked nice there. But here you might look nice. So let's do this together. So what I'm saying is that sometimes you say out, but the person doesn't hear it. They still do what they want to do, which is so good. You have to appreciate that.
Correct. So I have some people I want to welcome, and Rashmi Vaidilingam, she's in fact my sister, saying hello to you, saying say hi to your namesake. Then there is Rashid Jamil Khan saying hello to you. There is Shobna Chaudhary. There is Anya Khan. There is Surya Prabha Janeja saying hi. Shweta, welcome aboard. Jagdish Shahi, welcome aboard. So a lot of people are joining in, and somebody saying, of course, Rashmi ma'am, you are the best.
That's Shweta, one of my contestants in Mrs. India Worldwide. Hi, Shweta. So she would know. She would remember this instance that I'm talking to you about.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
So she was there. Because they all thought that I would get very perturbed, when she said it's because of you, Rashmi Virmani. I was like, bring it on. What is it? I mean, it's okay.
R.K. Sharma says, excellent. Utsav says, what a journey. So there are a lot of people who are joining in. Now, Rashmi, tell me quickly about your experience with the international shows that you did, the contest that you were doing, the Asian Supermodel contest, and then also the Supermodel Festival that you were doing. So quickly tell me about your experiences with these international festivals.
Okay, so before I move on to the international festivals, let me tell you quickly the experiences I've had in international shows. So I think I must have been one of the early choreographers who must have taken shows abroad. Actually, at that time, we were 3-4 of us in India who were taking these shows abroad, okay? So I'm here in Rotterdam, and I have 6 shows back to back. And, I just happened to take somebody to supervise my stage, because the client says, Aap ji models leke aaiye. But Sushmita and Aishwarya had just won the contest that year. I'm talking of that time back. And, he was like, we have the stage set up for you. Lights are done. This is done. I was like, okay. So we reached Rotterdam, very nice client. We do the rehearsal of the show in a hall that they've given us, ki stage abhi ban raha hai. So after finishing the rehearsal, I go down to the hall and I was like, let me just see what the stage is like. I see one guy over there who's trying to make my setup. One German guy. So, sorry, he was a French guy. One guy, okay. And I go to him and I say, the show's in the morning and I will need a run. Also, my girls will need a run. So, what time do you think we are going to get the hall? He said, oh, you'll get it by 7 o'clock in the evening. I was like, all right. So I go there at about 6-ish, 6:30. And he's sitting there and with his legs, I can never forget this sight, Dipali, with his legs on my ramp, his feet on my ramp, drinking his beer, and his pizza kept right there. And I'm like, look at the time, I'm up, my time is up. I'm like, but my stage is not ready. He's like, that's what you have. That's the time I have. This is what you have. I'm like, but the skirting, this, that. And fortunately, the stage guy who I had taken with me, Kuldeep, who I work with for a lot of years, I'm like, Kuldeep, come down right now. You won't believe it that one guy in the night did my setup, because we had the stuff there, but he had to put it up. So after that, I realized that you have to really be very, very careful when the clients say, "Ye to ji ho jayega," this will be done there, because the clients don't know that the client may have thought he'll come next day morning again, he'll do a 4-hour shift and sham ko show hai, not realizing that you have to rehearse there. So that was one thing I learned very early in my career, that always go with your experts with you. If he had not been with me, I would have had it. Second, I feel that now coming back to Asian Supermodel is, it used to happen in China. So now I don't know. The ramp was the agency that was appointed to really take, identify the winner from India and, who would take part in the international contest and represent the country. So we did that. And when I went there, for the first 2 years, 3 years, I went there to know where I'm going to send my girls. So I went there and I found them very professional, very nice. we were suddenly with the Koreans, we were with the Japs, we were with the Chinese, we were with the Taiwanese. So it was a whole. It was really there was Nepal. So suddenly you felt that, oh my God, so many people together, so many girls, so much talent, and you wouldn't believe it. Mongolia has huge girls. I had no idea, huge girls. And all of them would get together. And it was such a beautiful experience because they were all talking the same language. They may not understand each other's language, but the makeup, the hair, the setup, rehearsals, half turn, full ramp, half ramp, 1.5 ramp, they all understood. They all understood because it was for models. It was for professional models. So that was fun. And then from there, we started moving on to Korea. And we started taking the winners, to Korea too. And that was again a learning experience. And of course, there we found that when I was doing these contests, I found that we were doing pretty well in India too. We were absolutely at par with our contest, our setup, our technicals, our directions. So, but it was a very interesting experience because I did it almost for 6 years, 7 years.
Oh.
Now, I don't know. It used to happen in Nanning in China. So I have no idea what we are going to do now. So
I know you were planning to bring it down to India. I remember we were in talks with each other for that show, and then something went wrong somewhere, and it didn't happen. I don't know what happened after that.
It happened at the Hyatt, and the winners did go abroad, and they did go to China. We represented. The first Asian supermodel happened at the F-Bar. The second one and the third one happened at a Hyatt. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that we did something with you then, and then I think you wanted larger space or something that you required, and perhaps
F-Bar was a little narrow, and Rajan and Ala, they were like so cooperative. I mean, they were so forthcoming. You guys were so forthcoming, but my audience had just grown, and I had a huge sponsor on board, so I had to do it on a bigger scale.
You remember the fabulous Triumph, the lingerie show that we did, 2 of them. My God, what phenomenal experience we had, I tell you.
Those are beautiful. Yeah, those are beautiful. Because, that time lingerie was, lingerie shows, Dipali, I just feel that Triumph was, I've done a lot of lingerie shows with different brands. I don't want to take their name. But Triumph was one brand which said to me that, show our lingerie the way it is.
Yes, I remember you doing it.
And I was like, fantastic. That's what I want. I want women not to be shy about the bras and the panties. It's our innerwear. And that doesn't mean you go strutting down in your basics in places where it's not right. But at the same time, when you're showing it to the dealers and when you're placing models, you better take the right size, whether it's 34B, 36A, 36C, whatever, big, small, show it the way it has to be seen. And I remember the brand manager at Triumph, and then of course now with Shweta, believing in this. And we were all women, we said, no, we are going to do it the way it is and let women be body proud, And that's the spirit we did Triumph with. And that is why, the shows look so beautiful even now.
I remember it was so beautifully put together, so beautifully packaged, and the collection was phenomenal. And like you rightly said, you showed it the way it needed to be shown. And I remember 2 shows distinctly because they were so beautifully conceptualized and packaged. So great job. Now tell me, Rashmi, you have been, having this sort of a roller coaster lifestyle with long working hours, lot of traveling, etc., etc. How have you tried to maintain your work life scene, and also to say that you have a beautiful daughter Gopalika now, of course, doing phenomenally well with you and making a mark for herself? But there must have been years when she was really tiny and, you had your obligations as a wife, as a mother. How did you work around it?
So, Dipali, I always feel that I don't know why women, whenever I hear women say that, I had to make a choice between my career and my family. I don't know where it comes from. What do you mean you had to make a choice? Just like men work, the same way you work. And I made this choice for myself very early. And I was very fortunate to get married to a man who respected women truly. And I'm not saying it just to, I'm so happy. I mean, Gopalika is getting married now, and her fiance is. I mean, he is just what we wanted for her. I mean, Dhruv is just what I wanted for my daughter. I mean, he believes in women. He believes that women should work. He believes in giving you independence. He respects your creativity. He respects her creativity, and it's so touchwood, beautiful to see them work together. And so I feel that so anyway, to complete that, Gopalika I think is blessed, to get a husband, in-laws the way they're getting, because it's a working family again, which is so important for us. So from the time I was in college to the time I got married to Sanjay, and the way Sanjay and I also decided that how we're going to have our life, we realized that he did give me the freedom that, okay, it's up to you. You want to work, you work. You want to look after the family, you look after the family, or we will look after the family, or we will look after the children. It was never my responsibility. I mean, if I was, I remember I was doing a show that time for a designer called Piku Kochar, and she used to have a boutique in Khan Market. And I was pregnant with Gopalika 9 months over and above. And, I was doing the rehearsal outside, and I would come into a private room. I would take my contractions and I would go out. And, because I knew it was a show, and I till the end, I realized that, Arey Baba, I can't do this. I think I'm going to lay the child right here. And I remember Ritu Singh, who was a Miss India that time, she said, Rashmi, don't worry, we'll go into the show. The show was at Ashoka Hotel. And Ritu went and did the show after I choreographed the whole show. And I went and had Gopalika. So I feel that, women also, if you keep working, even when you're pregnant, of course, you need the support of your in-laws and your husband, but keep working. I mean, having children is the most normal, natural thing. When I was having Punanya, again, I was doing the Taj Mahotsav show for JD Institute, and I was to go to Agra. Till in the night, I realized that I was getting into labor, and I called up Shefali Talwar, who happens to be like my sister. I was like, Shefu, this show, you have to do it. I think I'm going to have the baby. So she was like, Didi, don't worry, I'll do it. And I mean, I've had some really good relationship with my models. So that show was done by Chef, and the client understood, and I had Punanya. I mean, I'm talking about one day pehle we were doing rehearsal. That's because you love it. You love what you do. You want to be active. You have been active. And you don't start thinking, oh, I'm going to have a baby. What is going to happen? It's the most normal thing. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So I've always felt that being a wife, having children, nothing should. In fact, they can all turn to your advantage. So it's just the way you turn it around. But of course, you have to have the support of your husband and your in-laws. So I had the complete backup of my in-laws and my mother. So when we started traveling, and Gopi was growing up, and it was always Sanjay's mom or my mom who would come and help us, because Sanjay and I have always lived out of the suitcase. Believe you me, it's this pandemic which has got us after our marriage together. Otherwise, he would be in Bombay, I would be in Delhi, we would meet in Singapore, we would meet in Hong Kong, we would meet here and there. And suitcases have just got unpacked 5 months back. I mean, we just packed them up. But, so that is how it is. So I feel that there is nothing that you cannot do just because you're a woman. And there's nothing that you cannot do just because you're getting married. And there is no need to not marry the love of your life just because you have a career. Everything goes hand in hand. The guy has to be right. Your attitude has to be right. Like, for example, here I must mention women who earn. I feel they also must support in the house, on the expenses of the house. It's very easy to say that I will earn and I will keep the money. I'm sorry. It's the family. You're earning and everything. You have to step in for even that. So as long as you're balanced and you know it, it works very well. And, if it works for everybody's benefit, you can keep doing what you want to do and you can enjoy it. So I've never really had this difference between a boy and a girl. In fact, I have 2 daughters, and I remember I was expecting again, and I mom kept saying, have another one, you may have a son, and I have a feeling it's a son. I'm like, but I don't crave it. He's going to be no different than Gopalika or Punanya. So I didn't have a third child because I was very happy with my 2 daughters, and it was really out of choice. So I feel also when women get into this web of, I must have a son, please shake yourself and hear yourself, hear what you're saying. I mean, you need to have good children, period. Just good children. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so well put, Rashmi. I resonate with that so beautifully because, my sister Rashmi and I are two daughters, two sisters only to my parents who were both working parents. So I
Yeah.
have seen exactly how my mother made her choices, of course, fully supported by her husband. But they
Yeah.
always had this balancing act happening to ensure that, nothing really suffered in their life, whether it was their own professional life or the personal life. So it's all
Right.
about really, having your own understanding, your vision, you're coming together of the two of you with, having your goals set in such a way that you are able to
True.
respect each other's aspirations and support each other completely, which
True.
means, of course, not only personally, but also, of course, professionally. So great
Yes.
to know about that, Rashmi. Now, your shift from not no, shift in the sense, in fact, it's about adding another feather to your cap was when you got into the television and film production with
Yeah.
Sanjay. So talk about that because you started with Khubsurat and you went on to have so many other shows. Before you answer, I'm just going to quickly welcome Geetu Bhatia, Sonal Bajaj Seth, Vikram Kapoor, Jay Mishra says it's so impressive. Rashmi Vedalingam again complimenting, so people joining in. Yeah. So now, tell me about your adding on this particular forte of getting into the line of production, films and TV.
So, Dipali, Sanjay comes from an audiovisual background. He was a film producer. He was doing, documentaries. In fact, that's how I met him. He was my client, and he just happened to do a film for Mizoram government, and there was the fabrics that they were doing of Mizoram, and he wanted a choreographer, and that's how I met him. So, having said that, so from the time we got together, whether it was my fashion shows, they always had audio visuals. We were I think, the first people to get audio visual explaining the garment before the garment came on ramp. And when ZTV came on, we got very tempted. We were like, "Oh, this is a private channel, and they might understand fashion." So I remember going to Bombay and sitting outside the office of ZTV, and just looking for an appointment. And I just wanted them to have a hear of what we want to do and what we have, what we had in mind. And
Sure.
they were very encouraging. Once I got into that room, I remember there was pin drop silence when Sanjay and I were making our presentation as to how we wanted to do this program and how we think ZTV is a great platform and all of that. We were commissioned 52 episodes right there and then that week. And
Oh,
I remember my deliveries were after 30 to 35 days or 40 days they gave us, and they were like, it's a 22 minutes episode, and come on, guys, let's get this going because we are launching and we want to launch. So, Zura. So, Sanjay had the technical know how, I had the fashion know how, and we kind of merged our talent. But I must say, he's a technical guy. He knew the angles, the cameras, how to shoot it, and I knew the locations, and I knew the models and the makeup. So there used to be a time when we would do a call time. I would do the makeup because no makeup artist wanted to come so early, and I was also
oh,
makeup artist at that time.
oh,
I would do the makeup of the models, and I would style the models, and then I would put them in front of the camera, and we would be directing the models ourselves, and we would be having so much fun, and
oh,
with the designers and all of that. And but I think we did a good job because the next time when we went to ZTV, I remember them complimenting us and somebody telling us, what have you made in this program? Khoobsurat. ZTV is throwing these tapes on all producers and saying, "Aisi production chahiye, aisi production chahiye." So it was nice fun, So we were on the right track, is what we felt at that time. कि ठीक है, ये ठीक है. Then we went on to do more programs and more programs. But this was really me just doing I was like the cherry on the pie. It was all Sanjay. He used to sit on the edits and he would really know the effects and all of that. And all the mesmerizing stuff that you saw and the color corrections you saw was really him doing it. So when I see Gopi do it now, I just feel so good. I feel so good.
I want to, in fact, come to that with Gopalika coming in with, the youngsters having their own ideas and so much to now bring on the table, whether it is
Yeah.
to do with your fashion choreography or whether it is to do with your production. How is
Right.
Gopalika now, helping you out or assisting you or contributing. But tell me, what are the forthcoming things that you're probably doing with Gopalika? How is she a part of your entire setup now?
So, Gopi is a child who's literally, in fact, that goes for both my kids. They've grown up in green rooms. They've grown up on the sets. They've grown up. I mean, I remember her playroom used to be also the editing table because we used to have the edit right here. So, and she would come very often. So all this I knew was getting engraved in her DNA. And there was a time where she wanted to be just a stylist. There was a time, how children are, they go through different so she also tried her hands in, she flirted with a couple of things, but believe you me, they were all media related. And eventually, now what she's really enjoying is, art and creating content. She's excellent in it. She really has a mind of her own. She's taken the technique. Of course, she has a lot to learn from Sanjay still, but she's a very fast learner. And with Gopi, what is fun is that she wants something, she visualizes it. She's a visualizer. So when she visualizes a frame or she visualizes a show, she's going to do it that way. She will do come what it may, whatever it might happen, whatever might happen. I mean, I've come back and from a show, and suddenly at 1 o'clock I'm seeing Gopalika in the studio doing her set with some 30 laborers, and I'm like, Gopi, what are you doing here? There are fumes here. She's like, Mom, please let me be. They're not getting the gradient right, or they're not getting my leaves falling right. So that is how meticulous she is, which was good. So which is when I realized that, okay, she understands the details, So she's just beginning. She's just started. So I think she's going to enjoy the journey too.
She's going to, I'm sure she's getting the best of you and of Sanjay, really, and then adding her own bit, on it, because she has a great reputation out there in the market. People really speak highly of her. So it's
Yeah,
really
she's good. She's working hard. And, now with Dhruv and her together, I think even better. And I think she's going to blossom even more. I think her work is going to be even more better.
Yeah, it's lovely to see your children mushrooming and being so creative and moving and following their own dreams. You
Yeah.
had a show with Z, something to do with Bollywood, and that show became like a very gala sort of a tour where you had about 75 dancers and you went around, I think, almost
Oh,
about 17 cities, and
yeah.
it was something to do with from the era of Raj
Raj Kapoor
Kapoor.
to Shah Rukh Khan.
Tell us, tell us about that.
So Z was wanting to, become stronger in China. And they told me, they said, we want to do shows in China. These are circuit shows, and they're going to be about 16 or 18 of them. And Rashmi, they're not really just fashion shows, they're going to be dance shows. And I was like, what is it? So then, when they briefed me through it, I found it so interesting, Dipali. It was from costumes to the dance moves of the eras, coming down from Raj Kapoor to Shah Rukh. And I was like, इसके लिए तो बहुत बड़ी team चाहिए. And Z was very supportive. They said, take the number of dancers you want, take makeup artists that you want, take the whole team that you want. So believe you me, the shows were in about 18 cities. And they were about 2.5 hours shows in China, where my light guys were from China. They don't understand a word of Hindi or English. And I worked with them, and they understood, and they did a good job. And and my cook went from here, because you know how Bollywood dancers are. A lot of them are good Jews and they're pure vegetarians, and China to will eat everything.
What a fun
Pork
here.
sauce. So I took the cook from here, and now I had to take a makeup artist who would be limited. I mean, with a limited team, and who would be able to do 60 dancers. I started thinking, कौन करेगा ये, कौन कर सकता है जो मतलब 6 घंटों में सारे आर्टिस्ट को रेडी कर दे. There was only one name that came to my mind. It was only Sylvie. And I was like, I went to Sil, and I was like, Sil, I need your help. Only you can do this. And Sil being Sil, how many people are there? I was like, 65. I'll do it. I'm like, what? What, Rash? You want me to do it? I'll do it for you. I was like, let's do it. So then Sil and I sat down and we realized that, okay, we will tell this team to do just their bases, because obviously not possible. No? So within whoever could do their bases, did their bases, whoever could do their, so we worked very beautifully. And Sil has amazing talent and amazing stamina, amazing
Yeah.
stamina. And that's one, I would say, makeup and hair artist who can give you hairstyles from Raj Kapoor to Shah Rukh Khan, and did such a fantastic job. We pre-made switches, we made hair pieces, would just fix it there quickly, and I had my team ready. So we went from different cities, and I must tell you something very interesting. So we went from different cities. There was also a singer, who was singing also in one of these, and the shows were one after another. Honestly speaking, I don't know, Bollywood was such a hit in China that people don't know how to speak Hindi, but they can sing your songs. They can sing Raj Kapoor songs. I was like, okay, wow. So this bus, I remember we were all in that Volvo bus and we were going from one town to another town. Said, everything is fine, Rashmi. We want to have one more song, one more performance of Indian song, And he knew this word Sufi. So he said, let's do something Sufi. So I was like, how do I do this? I mean, my team is all ready. Everybody has their sets ready and I can't change it. And Sylvie was sitting next to me. So I said, Sil, what do you do when the show starts? Because once the artists are all ready, what do you do? She's like, I sit with you and I watch. I was like, what costumes have you got with you? So do you have extra? She said, what are you getting at, Ash? I said, I'll give you a +1. You'll go up on stage and you'll do a Sufi song. She looked at me. She said, only you. So believe you me, in 2 towns, Sylvie was singing. And she did such a fantastic job, I can't tell you. She is such an actor and such a team's person that, after that, all the shows I did with China were with Sil. Of course, we took more team because the shows were bigger and they were more in number. But it was always, with Sylvie because nobody else would match that stamina, really. So that's Sylvie, multi-dimensional.
Sylvie is something else, really. She can quite mad hatter and add a lot of value to anything that you give her to do, really.
That's true. And did it with sincerity. Throughout the bus journey, she said, okay, do you have this? And I gave her the song. She learned the lyrics and because she had to mime. So, and she said, okay, practice with me. I practiced with her and she did a good job. It wasn't that, she just did it for a laugh. No, she was very professional when she did it. So that is.
You must be a treasure house of so many interesting episodes happening with you on the ramp, off the ramp, with the designers, with the models. Just quickly, some interesting incidences that you've encountered. They could be a challenge also for you to really handle at that point in time, but something that you've also enjoyed.
I'll tell you this one instance when I got nervous. I was doing a show for, it was called the Red Ribbon Show. It was for Percept. It was for Bablu, for Shailendra Singh. And it was in Wankhede Stadium. And, it was all the film stars there. And I was the show director and I was directing their entries. See, they all have their sets ready. You just have to cue the entries and exits and you're not telling them how to dance. And you're just controlling the lights, making sure the lighting is done right. Even they have the light designers, it's all pre-programmed, all of that. Till I was obviously with my walkie-talkie and, that time we didn't have clear comm, so I was on walkie-talkie and I was giving the cues for the entries because I was controlling the entries of all the stars also. And, I was on the walkie-talkie with the main console. And suddenly I heard this very deep voice saying, ma'am, will you please cue me for my entry? And I turned back and I looked up and that was Mr. Butcher. And at this time, we had just proxied him because he didn't come for rehearsal. So we had just proxied him. So I knew he had to go. But the act was still on. But he's such a diligent person. He was there one act before telling me that he is there. That was his way of telling me that I'm there. Just tell me when I have to go. And shaking legs, I was cueing him to go. So, they are very professional in, whatever they do. Yeah. Similarly, I remember I was rehearsing again for one of the awards. and suddenly I had a tap on my shoulder, and someone in a particular accent said that, please, can you tell your models also now to empty the stage, because we also want to rehearse. And I turned back, and that was Govinda. So I was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know I had kept Ravina and Govinda waiting, because we were doing the rehearsals and then their act had to come. So these were just few instances which happen, in your career. Of course, then you have so many where the light goes off, and then you learn, and of course, now we don't have all of that. But I doubt if there'd be any show director who's not faced it. And so whenever I've gone for a show and it's happening to somebody else, I feel it. I know what happens. So even if, when others are like quiet or whatever, I'm the first one to stand up and clap, because I know it takes a lot for those models to hold there and hold that poise and that attitude when the music stops or the lights have come on wrong or whatever. It happens. It happens sometimes. So, you've just got to be very, very, because we're all working with machines. So, and also human error sometimes. So, over the years, you realize that, that's fine, it's okay. But at the same time, having said that, there's one thing I always tell my models, and that is that the show is bigger than the models. There was also a phase, Dipali, when we had a lot of problem with attitudes of certain models. And yeah, it was very unnecessary. And I used to joke with them, I was like, if I give you, it's small things like, what are we getting to eat? I'm like, why do you ask? If I give you rice, you'll want wheat. If I give you wheat, you want sandwiches. If you want, you'll always ask for something. If I give you Indian, you'll want Thai. If I want, so why ask? There's a staple. So then what we started doing at Ramp was, we also used to tell them, this is what we're giving you for food. It's going to be dry food. It's going to be this. If you're particular, buddy, get your own. Because we're not a catering service. We're not trying to excel our culinary skills here. We are doing a show. And the show is bigger than all of you. Which I think this new generation of models understand, respect, and they're very professional about it, I must say.
Yeah, I remember that, because I remember when you did shows with us, there was never a problem. Everything
No.
was so fantastically structured and slotted. But I resonate with that when we had a lot of trouble with many other fashion shows happening, where we had to encounter these situations with unnecessary, unreasonable demands coming up, propping up, and it used to sometimes create a lot of confusion. Also, it wasn't very pleasant, but yeah, but it did happen. And but you have always been such a master. I remember walking myself for some fashion shows outside my venues, and you've been the show director, and with real people like us who had no clue how to walk, what to do, and how patiently you take us through with how you conceptualize the show, how you want these women to walk on the ramp, and you would leave no stone unturned, whether you're dealing with professional models or you're dealing with people who are non professional models. So kudos to.
Diwali, it takes a lot for non-professional models to really come up on the ramp. And as a show director, once you've come on my ramp, you become very important for me. And I have to make you look good. Your lighting has to be there. Your music has to be there. Your costumes have to be there. And then you have to make sure that you look good.
I seem to have suddenly lost Rashmi. We will try to get her back. I'm just trying to have a look and see if she's back. Friends, just remain with me. I'm just going to try and see. We are just trying to see if we could bring back Rashmi quickly as soon as possible. In the meantime, friends, you've been hearing Rashmi Virmani's very interesting stories, and she has been there, done that, seen all, and been a part of this industry and so much respected for her professionalism. She is genuinely somebody whom I've seen on the job being so good with her work. Anyway, now she's back, so we're going to continue. Rashmi, continue. Can you hear me, Rashmi? Can you hear me? Can you hear
Got
me?
you. Got you.
Good. So continue. So you're saying about how when you deal with non-professional models, when
Yeah. So
like
once
us,
you're on my RAM, then you become very important for me. And then I think it's my duty to make sure that you look beautiful and the best of you comes out. At the same time, I don't try and make models out of you. I don't want you to ape the models, copy the models, because you women have your own style. So I think as a show director, there I'm trying to bring your style out.
Yeah. Surya Juneja says, very interesting story. She herself was a beautiful model at one point in time, and I keep telling her to get back to it because I'm sure you need people of our age bracket as well. Bikram Kapoor says, very good going. And Zeenat Iqbal is, of course, saying hi. Now, tell me, Rashmi, with the situation, the pandemic that is happening, what is the kind of revival of work, really? I mean, is it beginning to happen? Are the corporates getting in touch with you? Are the designers getting in touch with you? Because at the end of the day, we all understand that you can't really have, on ground shows happening. Everything is kind of becoming virtual. How are you working around it? I mean, are you being able to really fit in things with your sensibilities? I guess you just have to, but how are you dealing with it?
Okay, so when we had the lockdown, it was, I think, a thinking moment for all of us. I think it took us all a long time to understand what it is that we are up against. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of us who were tired, overworked, also took this as an opportunity to relax and, just enjoy yourself for some time. Of course, it wasn't, it would disturb you every time you put on the TV, but, you were not going out. And if you could afford to stay in the house, and, convert that time creatively so you could do a lot of things that you always wanted to do. But being professionals, after some time, you started thinking, "Ab kya? Ab iske aage kya hoga? Ab kya karna hai?" You wanted to go back to your office. You wanted to. Your team was getting, and it takes a lot to build a team. Your team wanted to know whether you're going to let them go or are they going to stay. So there was a lot of confusion, and it wasn't easy to let go of certain people because you had trained them, and
Sure.
So I think till June. It was not very active. August onwards, we started getting some mailers and certain calls. September, we started converting it into work. But I'll be honest, Dipali, it's hardly any work is what we used to do. I would say it's maybe just 20% of what we do, maybe 10% of what we do. It was that bad. I mean, it is going to take time. And we are hoping now with exhibitions on and, B2Bs on, things will be better. But at the same time, just by the government saying it's on is not the solution. People have to be safe and people have to also, it has to work in the interest of everybody. So I do understand the economy has to open up, but at the same time, safety measures have to be taken. So I don't see fashion shows happening, obviously, in November or December. But now we are talking of shows in March. We are talking of shows. I mean, I've started getting feelers from clients. All those shows that we had postponed, now the clients are talking about it. We're revisiting the venues and all of that. But of course, with a lot of change. There is a change. I mean, if it was one show, it's becoming like now 3 shows with more distance between the chairs. So all that is happening. At the same time, I must say that it's not the billing of one show multiplied into 3 for 3 shows, but they're also negotiating. You do understand that they are doing it because we have to do it like that. So we are trying to work out a price structure also that it works well, for the client and it's a win-win for everybody and everybody's safe. I think the most important thing is that people should be safe.
Absolutely. And nobody has control over really what is happening. It is so unfortunate. The only
Yeah.
thing is that, what are the ways and means of being able to circumvent the situation? And, of course, the scales will never be the same till the time things really normalize, which we don't know when and how you're really countering it. My curiosity was only whether, to do all this virtually, how much is it really possible at the end of the day? So I guess we'll get to see eventually when things start happening on air
Yeah.
virtually, the announcements start coming, forward, and we get to know what really is happening. Vandana Vadera has joined us, and she says, "So nice to see my two favorites together. How sweet!
Andy.
She's such a sweetheart. Another all-rounder."
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Yeah. So, Rashmi, now, we are almost towards the end of the session. Your pearls of wisdom for people who are aspiring to be models and probably also looking at modeling as a path to the film industry as well. So, what would you like to tell them?
So, if you really want to become a model, I feel that what you need first is good pictures, because it's your pictures which really talk. And there's no, I don't see the need today to do a professional portfolio. You can just take your own pictures. I mean, a lot of models are doing a lot of good pictures. Your friends can take your pictures. Mail your pictures. You can mail it to Rampage at Gmail. You can mail it to other modeling agencies, and our bookers are all the time looking for talent. We just now did the casting for Shivan and Naresh. They were also very kind to give an opportunity to a lot of new models. Also, of course, we have a lot of established models, but a lot of new models, because I think designers now are looking for a particular look. And
Sure.
even if you're a newcomer and you fit into that look, they are willing to give you the chance as long as you fit into that look that the designer is wanting. So
Sure.
don't hesitate. Just do your pictures, mail them, and just be. This is not the best time, in the sense that if you would have got a better. I mean, it would have you would have got a much better response. I would say if we were in 2019,
Yeah.
or maybe inshallah 2021. At
Sure.
this time, we're not risking too many newcomers. We are giving a chance to a lot of them, but not the quantum as one would normally. So,
Sure.
last year, of course, I mean, I gave chance. I mean, we work with so many newcomers, Nepali, all over the country, whether even in small towns, we work with a lot of local models and local talent. But
Sure.
this season, I don't know. But at the same time, you have to do what it takes. So get your pictures done, know your pictures, and be patient. And if you're good at it, you'll get a call.
Sure, sure. Lovely. So this really brings me to the end of the session, Rashmi. I just want to know what are those things that you really follow in your life to overcome your challenges and to hold your fort? What are your mantras?
Okay, so um, I'll be really honest.
Sure.
I
You
have my
should.
best buddy in my husband. He's my
Sure.
best friend. So any problem, anything I have, he's my first go-to person. And it's not that he's going to give me a bias, solution. He won't be biased. He'll give me a very, very right perspective. The next, of course, is honestly to go to my kids, to Gopi or Punanya, and discuss it with them, because they are both, even Punanya is now 23. They both have their perspective, and I get their perspective. And then, of course, you wouldn't believe it, the Bali. It's my go-to person is my father-in-law, and he's got a solution to everything, really. So if really I'm in trouble and I want a few people's perspective, whatever the problem might be, these are the people I would really go to, and I'm glad I stay with them. I live with them.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. So this really brings us to the end of the session, Rashmi. It's been so wonderful to chat up with you, to have this lovely conversation, get so many insights of the inside, so to say. And it's I can only say that may you go on really becoming stronger in your area of work and keep
Thank
surging
you.
ahead. A lot more power to you, and of course to Gopalika and to your other daughter and Sanjay, and may you all keep doing wonderfully well in your life.
Thank you, Dipali. It was like chitty chatting with a friend. Really, it was such fun.
You told me कि Dipali, पौना घंटा घंटा ज्यादा नहीं हो जाएगा. And you know what the time? I told you. I said, on my shows, people, my guests just come and they talk, and I love them to, really talk about things in great detail, so that these are moments when we get to know the other side of all of you. It's not only about Rashmi, the ace fashion choreographer. It is also about Rashmi Virmani, the person, and everything that goes with her behind the
Well, that's
scenes.
also because you make us all feel so comfortable and you understand our language. You are literally part of the industry. So
Yes.
it's so nice to talk to you, Dipali, and thank you. I really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Good luck to you, and hope to see you soon with the pandemic becoming better in the times to come. I will met you soon. Lots of love to you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Lots of love to you too. Bye.
So, dear friends, I hope you had an interesting session listening to Rashmi and all the stories and all the things that she, shared with us and told us about the world of fashion through her line of work, which is fashion choreography, and then the film production and things that go on with this line of work. So just to again tell you to look at my sessions on YouTube. Please follow me on my Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube, and subscribe, share, and comment on my social media handles. And I'm soon going to see you next time with yet another interesting personality, or maybe personalities, and take another session on forward very soon. Thank you, Vikram, for joining in. Thank you thank you very much for complimenting. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, Madhvi. Thank you, Surya. Thank you, each one of you, for having taken out time and joining me for my session today. And there are many of you who have been very regularly following me on Sharp Conversations. Please continue to do so and extend your support. Thank you very much, and see you all very soon. Bye-bye.